Hello and welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and this week we are doing books that feature spies and espionage, so I'll turn it over to Jill for her first pick.
My first one is by Susan Elia McNeil, called Mother, Daughter, Traitor, Spy. A mother and daughter find the courage to go undercover after stumbling upon a Nazi cell in Los Angeles during the early days of World War II. June 1940, France has fallen to the Nazis, and Britain may be next. But to many Americans, the war is something happening over there. Veronica Grace has just graduated from college. She and her mother, Violet, are looking for a fresh start in sunny Los Angeles. After a blunder cost her a prestigious career opportunity in New York, Veronica is relieved to take a typing job in L.A., only to realize she's working for one of the area's most vicious propagandists. Overnight, Veronica is exposed to the dark underbelly of her new home, where German Nazis are recruiting Americans for their devastating campaign. After the FBI dismisses the Grace's concern, Veronica and Violet decide to call on an old friend who introduced them to LA's anti-Nazi spy master. At once, the women go undercover to gather enough information about the California Reich to take to the authorities. But as the news of Pearl Harbor ripples through the United States and President Roosevelt declares war, the Grace women realize the plots they are investigating are far more sinister than they feared, and even a single misstep could cost them everything. This book is inspired by a real mother-daughter spy duo who foiled Nazi plots in Los Angeles during World War II. Mother-Daughter Traitor Spy is a powerful portrait of family, duty, and deception that raises timeless questions about America and what it means to have courage in the face of terror. This was published this year in 2022, back in September.
A new book. My first pick is by a popular author. It's Clive Cussler, and it is The Spy. This is the third book in the Isaac Bell series that begins with The Chase and then is followed by The Wrecker and then The Spy. It's 1908, and international tensions are mounting as the world plunges toward war. When a brilliant American battleship gun designer dies in a sensational apparent suicide, the man's grief-stricken daughter turns to the legendary Van Dorn Detective Agency to clear her father's name. Van Dorn puts his chief investigator on the case, and Isaac Bell soon realizes that the clues point not to suicide, but to murder. And when more suspicious deaths follow, it becomes clear that someone, an elusive spy, is orchestrating the destruction of America's brightest technological minds, and the murders all connect to a top-secret project called Hull 44. But that's just the beginning. As the intrigue deepens, Bell will find himself pitted against German, Japanese, and British spies in a mission that encompasses dreadnought battleships, Teddy Roosevelt's Great White Fleet, Chinatown, Hell's Kitchen, and the Brooklyn Navy Yard. Isaac Bell has certainly faced perilous situations before if you're a fan of Clive Cussler, but this time it is more than the future of his country that's at stake. It's the fate of the world. So
Wow.
Going big for my first pick, Clive Cussler's The Spy.
My next one is called Northern Spy by Flynn Berry. It is a Reese Witherspoon pick. This is the story of two sisters who become entangled in the IRA. A producer at the Belfast bureau of the BBC, Tessa is at work one day when the news of another raid comes on the air. The IRA may have gone underground after the Good Friday Agreement, but they never really went away, and lately bomb threats, arms drops, and helicopters floating ominously over the city have become features of everyday life. As the anchor requests the public's help in locating those responsible for the latest raid, a robbery at a gas station, Tessa's sister appears on the screen. Tessa watches in shock as Marion pulls a black mask over her face. The police believe Marion has joined the IRA, but Tessa knows this is impossible. They were raised to oppose republicanism and the violence enacted in its name. They've attended peace vigils together, and besides, Marion is vacationing by the sea. Tessa just spoke to her yesterday. When the truth of what happened to Marion reveals itself, Tessa will be forced to choose between her ideals and her family, between bystanderism and action. Walking an increasingly perilous road, she fears nothing more than endangering the one person she loves more fiercely than her sister, her infant son. A riveting and exquisite novel about family, terror, motherhood, betrayal, and the staggering human cost of intractable conflict, Northern Spy cements Flynn Berry's status as one of the sophisticated and accomplished authors of crime and suspense. So this was published in 2021, so...
That was one of my Reese picks. I have that on my list of books to read. That sounded like a good one to me. My second pick is The Spy Who Came for Christmas by David Morrell, published in 2008. Couldn't resist throwing in a Christmas book with a spy. The Christmas books have been going off the shelves. So in this one, it's Christmas Eve in Santa Fe, but among the revelers on Canyon Road, a decidedly unholy scene is taking place. A desperate man, dressed all in black, feverishly seeks refuge for himself and the squirming bundle he holds tight against his chest. Agent Paul Kagan's bundle is a baby who has the power to change the course of global events. His pursuers are his former colleagues, members of the Russian mafia, who will stop at nothing to accomplish their mission. Now Kagan is a spy on the run. He must ensure this baby's survival, even if it will cost him his own life. Just a short distance away, Kagan will find an unexpected pair of allies, a mother and her young son, who huddle together after a horrible episode of domestic violence leaves them home alone with no means of transportation. And so, with the exquisitely honed skills of his profession and the help and good faith of a weary woman and her disillusioned son, Kagan must take on forces that will stop at nothing. In the course of a wild and violent night, the unlikely trio learn lessons of generosity, courage, and selflessness, discovering within themselves the luminous strength of the true Christmas spirit. So, The Spy Who Came for Christmas.
Double spy book and Christmas book. My next pick is nonfiction. So this is about a real spy. The Spy Who Couldn't Spell, a dyslexic traitor, an unbreakable code in the FBI's hunt for America's stolen secrets. I am going to murder this author's name. His name is Yudhit Bhattacharjee. It's this very long thing right there. So, before Edward Snowden's famous data breach, the largest theft of government secrets was committed by an ingenious traitor whose intricate espionage scheme and complex system of coded messages were made even more baffling by his dyslexia. His name was Brian Regan, and he came to be known as the Spy Who Couldn't Spell. In December of 2000, FBI Special Agent Stephen Carr and the Bureau's Washington, D.C. office received a package from FBI New York, a series of coded letters from an anonymous sender to the Libyan consul, offering to sell classified United States intelligence. The offer and the threat were all too real. A self-proclaimed CIA analyst with top-secret clearance had information about the U.S. reconnaissance satellites, air defense systems, weapons depots, munitions factories, and underground bunkers throughout the Middle East. Rooting out the traitor would not be easy, but certain clues suggested a government agent with a military background, family, and a dire need for money, leading a diligent team of investigators and codebreakers. Carr spent years hunting down the dangerous spy and his cache of stolen secrets. In this fast-paced, true-life spy thriller, Yudhit Bhattacharjee reveals how the FBI unraveled Reagan's strange web of codes to build a case against a man who nearly collapsed America's military security. So this was published in 2016, and it's nonfiction.
My third pick comes from another popular author, Danielle Steele. We have her just about in every category we pick. We had her with Royals, and now we have her with Spy, published in 2019. A young woman is caught up in a dangerous double life on behalf of her country during World War II in this book by Danielle Steele. At 18, Alexandra Wickham is presented to King George V and Queen Mary in an exquisite white lace and satin dress her mother has ordered from Paris. With her delicate blonde look, she is a stunning beauty who seems destined for the privileged life. But fate, a world war, and her own quietly rebellious personality lead her down a very different path. By 1939, Europe is on fire and England is at war. From her home in idyllic Hampshire, Alex makes her way to London as a volunteer in the first aid nursing. But she has skills that draw the attention of another branch of the service. Fluent in both French and German, she would make the perfect secret agent. Within a year, Alex is shocking her family in trousers and bright red lipstick. They must never know about the work she does. No one can know, not even the pilot she falls in love with. While her country and those dearest to her pay the terrible price of war, Alex learns the art of espionage, leading to life and death missions behind enemy lines and a long career as a spy in exotic places and historic times. Spy follows her extraordinary adventures in World War II and afterward in India, Pakistan, Morocco, Hong Kong, Moscow, and Washington, D.C. So tour around the world with this one when her husband Richard enters the Foreign Service, and both become witnesses to a rapidly changing world from post-war to Cold War. She lives on the edge with a secret she must always keep hidden. So Danielle Steele, Spy.
She's always got a book for you. My next one is Transcription by Kate Atkinson. In 1940, 18-year-old Juliet Armstrong was reluctantly recruited into the world of espionage. Sent in an obscure department of M15 tasked with monitoring the comings and goings of British fascist sympathizers, she discovers the work to be both tedious and terrifying. But after the war has ended, she presumes the events of those years have been relegated to her past forever. 10 years later, now radio producer at BBC, Juliet is unexpectedly confronted by figures from her past. A different war is being fought now, on a different battleground, but Juliet finds herself once more under threat. A bill of reckoning is due, and she finally begins to realize that there's no action without consequence. So, you don't get away from spy life.
Nope. My fourth pick I had to include also, because this is The Librarian Spy, which was just published this year. This is by the New York Times bestselling author of The Last Bookshop in London, if you're familiar with that book. And this is her new novel, inspired by the true history of America's library spies of World War II. Ava thought her job as a librarian at the Library of Congress would mean a quiet, routine existence. But an unexpected offer from the U.S. military has brought her to Lisbon with a new mission, posing as a librarian while working undercover as a spy gathering intelligence. Meanwhile, in occupied France, Elaine has begun an apprenticeship at a printing press run by members of the resistance. It's a job usually reserved for men, but in the war, those rules have been forgotten. Yet she knows that the Nazis are searching for the press and its printer in order to silence them. As the battle in Europe rages, both Ava and Elaine find themselves connecting through coded messages and discovering hope in the face of the war. So check out The Librarian Spy, published this year by Madeline Martin.
My last pick is The Secrets We Kept by Lara Prescott. This is also a Reese Witherspoon pick. She must like spy books too. Secretaries turned spies, love, duty, and sacrifice, inspired by the true story of the CIA plot to infiltrate the hearts of the minds of Soviet Russia. Not with propaganda, but with the greatest love story of the 20th century, Dr. Zhivago. At the height of the Cold War, two secretaries are pulled out of the typing pool at the CIA and given the assignment of a lifetime. Their mission to smuggle Dr. Zhivago out of the USSR, where no one dare publish it, and help Pasternak's magnum opus make its way to print around the world. Glamorous and sophisticated Sally Forster is a seasoned spy who has honed her gift for deceit all over the world, using her magnetism and charm to pry secrets out of powerful men. Irene is a complete novice, and under Sally's tutelage quickly learns how to blend in, make drops, and invisibly ferry classified documents. So I thought that was kind of a fun plot.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a good one. My last one is by Paulo Coelho, and this was published in 2016, and this is The Spy. And you might probably be familiar if you're fans of The Alchemist and Adultery, The Pilgrimage. In this book, he brings to life one of history's most enigmatic women, Mata Hari. Her only crime was to be an independent woman. When Mata Hari arrived in Paris, she was penniless. Within months, she was the most celebrated woman in the city. As a dancer, she shocked and delighted audiences. As a courtesan, she bewitched the era's richest and most powerful men. But as paranoia consumed a country at war, Mata Hari's lifestyle brought her under suspicion. In 1917, she was arrested in her hotel room and accused of espionage. This is told in Mata Hari's voice through her final letter. The Spy is an unforgettable story of a woman who dared to defy convention and who paid the ultimate price. So if you're fans of his writing, check out The Spy.
So we hope that this helps you in case you're looking for some kind of book that it has to do with espionage.
I thought it was kind of a fun topic, and it was an easy pick. We had a surprising number of books that dealt with spies and espionage on the shelves. So like, comment, share, tell us what you're reading, tell us what you're excited about reading as the end of the year comes closer and closer. Find us on our Facebook page. Find us on our Kimberly Public Library YouTube channel. Like I said last week, we're getting more views on there and more likes on there. So thank you for that. And until next time, we thank you for watching. Bye.